So organism, it is nothing but it is, you can say, in a forest each pine tree is an organism, right? You can take one elephant also. If there is a one elephant, that elephant is an organism, right? It is an organism, right? Okay, then lot of elephants in a single place, like suppose 4 5 elephants you have, 10 20 elephants you have, they are going to make a population. Let's take example of tree also. So one pine tree, each pine tree is what? Each pine tree is nothing but it is organism, and all the pine trees together makes the population. Okay guys, makes the population. Now if those pine tree I also consider with the population of elephant, so all those will make what? All the plants and animals species comprise a community. ये सब लोग मिलकर के क्या बनाते हैं? Community बनाते हैं. Okay guys, so basically one elephant is organism, lot of elephants is population. Those elephants population with the population of trees or other animals, they makes what? They makes communities. And after that, suppose let's take this example of a coastal region. So this coastal ecosystem is the southeastern United States, including living organism and the environment in which they live. So the water, the air, all these you can say bushes, trees, the plants, the animals here in this particular area, they are going to make ecosystem, right? Ecosystem. Okay guys, ecosystem. Remember, ecosystem is a open system. There are different type of system: closed system, open system. So this is a open system, right? Ecosystem. And if I just take all the ecosystem of the entire earth and I join them, they make us the biosphere. Encompasses all the ecosystem on earth. So this is how we reach from organism to biosphere. Please remember this. Now I have quickly one more example for all of you so that you can understand each and everything that I have just taught you. Organism or a single individual. An organism is a single individual or being. Example elephant in Kaziranga. You know na Kaziranga. So let's take one example of, there is one animal. Let's take elephant. So that one elephant in Kaziranga is considered as organism. Then comes species. Species, what is species? Please see. It is similar organism having the potential to interbreed. They can interbreed, they can produce babies together, right? So those actually, and fertile offspring. If I just, you can say, if we have elephant, 2 3 elephant, 5 4 elephant, 10 15 elephant, they will be called as population then. Elephant population in Kaziranga. Okay, they are basically species. Species is basically like if you belong to same, you can say, category where you can interbreed, that is species. And if you combine all of them, like lot of species together, they make population. All elephants of Kaziranga form population basically. Now biological community. Now what is biological community? So it is the assemblage of population of plant, animal, microbes and all other life form living in a particular area, interacting with each other for fulfillment of needs. Elephant plus rhino plus bacteria plus other wild animals and plants of Kaziranga, they all together makes a biological community. Next is ecosystem. It is composed of biological community. Integrated means this whole thing integrated with its physical environment through exchange of gases, energy, recycling of nutrients. So ecosystem involves interaction between living and non-living worlds, means biotic and abiotic. Biotic and abiotic. If you take both of them together, that is going to make ecosystem. Okay guys, next is your biome. Now what is a biome? Let's talk about biome now. Biome, if we say, a large regional unit characterized by major vegetation type and a specific climate zone that is actually called as biome. Like for example, these are different biomes in the world, right? So this is tundra biome, this entire. Can you see these are actually specified on the basis of their climatic zone? Yes or no, guys? Everybody, are you getting it or not? Biome, yes sir. This one, this orange one is taiga. This yellow one is grassland, right? This is desert. Can you see on the exact same latitude you are having what? You are having the deserts, then temperate forest, then tropical rainforest. They are different types of biome that exist on earth. Okay, then comes biosphere. Now biosphere is basically nothing but biosphere on a global scale. All the earth terrestrial biomass and aquatic system constitute of biosphere. It includes lower atmosphere, land, oceans and rivers, etc., where living organism can be found. So biosphere is the biological inhabited part of earth along with its physical environment. As you can see, land, water, air, you combine all of them with all the species will give you the biosphere. This much is clear. Now I will tell you how what happens when two different species interact with each other. Okay, there are few terms that may come in examination like mutualism or symbiotic, communalism, parasitism. There are some more, amencenalism, then commensalism. Let me tell you what are all these and how you can remember them. Very easy to understand, right? Please see guys, you guys are not sharing I think the video, है ना? और मेरे को रिप्लाई करते रहा करो यार. मेरे को क्या है ना, when I teach, when I take class, I really want everyone to interact with me. I have this issue. I don't know if this is an issue or not, but I really want everyone to interact with me. When I ask you if this is clear, you can tell me yes it is clear, or if it is not, then you can tell me it is not clear. And number two, keep asking. Be curious. The more curious you are, the better understanding you will get related to the topic, right? Now this is very interesting. ये जो मैं अभी बताने वाला हूं, it is very interesting, right? Please see this. एक बार समझो इसको. For example, let's take the first interaction. It is called as mutualism या symbiotic. Means क्या? Mutualism or symbiotic is nothing but it is like when two species interact together, it is beneficial for both of them. Both of them are getting benefited. If this is positive basically means benefit. Zero means neutral, no benefit, no loss. Negative means loss. Okay, this is what plus, minus and zero stands for here. Now what happens when mutualism happen? Both the species are in benefit, both are beneficial. Okay, like for example, process of pollination in plant. So pollination, what happens? You know, all the bees, butterflies, what they do, they help in pollination. What they do, they take the pollen from the pollen grains from the female part of the flower and they put it to the male part of the flower. Correct or not? And in the process, they also consume the juices from the flower, which helps them to sustain, which helps them to make honey, if we are talking about specifically bees. So this is benefit of both of them. Like butterfly, or you can say bee, is also getting the benefit, and the flower is also able to reproduce. So this is the very good example of mutualism. You and me, we are also beneficial with each other. You are watching my video, you are getting the knowledge from here. You are going to get what? You are going to get the selection. You are going to get good marks. If you are going to get the good marks, if you will get the good selection, you are going to tell the world that yes, we have watched the video of Basics of Energy Environment from Joshit Singh sir, from Ninja sir. We have studied environment from Ninja sir. Then those people will come to my video and they will also watch next year. Yes or no? That is how we both are connected. This is a mutualism. Right or not, everyone? This is clear? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes. Superb. Amazing. Now, for example, if there is a thief and thief tries to take your money, your wallet, what happens then? It is not symbiotic. It is not mutualism. You are getting lost. He is getting benefited or she is getting benefited. Okay. Feminism. Next. Sir, next is commensalism. Commensalism means one species is getting benefited and other is neutral. One is getting benefited and other is neutral. Let me tell you about Ramoras. What is Ramoras? I have no idea if you know this or not, but still I will ask you. Have you ever seen in any movie in or Discovery Channel, whenever there is a shark, with shark there are small fishes which also move, which also travel, which also lives? Yes or no? Have you ever seen? When the shark is moving, there are small fishes around the shark. Right? Those small fishes are called as Ramoras. Those fishes are called as Ramoras. Now what they do? Whenever the shark do the hunting, what happens during the hunting? Shark is not like कि यहाँ पे कपड़ा अपड़ा लगाया, कांटा छुरी लिया और फिर उसको काट के ऐसे चम्मच से खा रहा है. No, 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 no. वो अपने स्टाइल में खाता है. बाबू राव का स्टाइल था ना, exactly like that only. The shark will eat the prey. The shark will eat the whatever fish the shark is hunting. And what happens during the hunting? The pieces, small pieces of the fish, right? It gets scatters. And those small pieces which the shark is not eating, those pieces of the fish is being eaten by Ramoras. Now tell me, are they causing any problem to shark? No. Shark, okay, there is no problem. And is shark getting benefited from them? No. ना तो शार्क को कोई फायदा हो रहा है, ना तो शार्क को कोई नुकसान हो रहा है रेमोरास से. बट रेमोरास, कैन आई से, बिकॉज दे आर लिविंग विद द शार्क, दे आर गेटिंग बेनिफिटेड, राइट? सो रेमोरास इज लाइक माई बीटेक फ्रेंड ओनली. Ramoras is like my BTech friend only. He lives with me because he knows whenever I will go for having anything outside like food or tea, I am going to buy him also. He's like that, Ramoras. I miss you, bro. Okay, next is amensalism. Now, amensalism is one is getting lost and other is neutral. Like what happens, suppose if we are having two trees here. Okay, one is like this and other is like this. After some time what happens? This tree grows like this, but this tree grows only here. Now what happened? This tree is blocking sunlight for this tree, right? But blocking this small tree is not getting any benefit to the big tree. इस बड़े वाले पेड़ को कोई फायदा नहीं हो रहा है इस छोटे पेड़ को ढक देने से. यस और नो? बट इस छोटे पेड़ को नुकसान हो रहा है इस बड़े पेड़ के ढक जाने से. तो इसको बोलते हैं amensalism. Got it or not, everybody? Are these examples understandable or not? If yes, just heart sign comment box में भेज देना. Then comes parasitism. Parasitism means one is in benefit, other is in loss. For examples, mosquito. जब मच्छर काटता है हम लोग को, when mosquito bite us, then mosquito gets the blood. But mosquito also leaves malaria, right? Or dengue or any other disease, right? So that is the parasitism. Then comes competition. Competition means both the species are in loss. दोनों ही species का नुकसान हो रहा है. Like if any particular area, we have lion also and tiger also. Lion, tiger, they don't eat each other. But if they are together, then there is a ego problem. And when there is a ego problem, there is a fight. They both are going to be in a losing position. So these are different type of interaction that can happen between species, right, sir? And this is also you can say same thing I have told you, but in other ways. Clear, everybody? I hope it is. Moving on. Now we'll talk about food chain and food web. What is a food chain and what is a food web? I won't waste your time on food chain, food web. A lot of time I mean, but I'll talk about only the important things. Crocodile is saying, hi, but I am crocodile. I have something for you also. Please don't go. Wait. Okay, government is doing very important thing for you. I'll tell you in this video only. In this video, I have this one thing for you. So, food chain and food web. A food chain is a linear sequence of organism through which nutrients and energy pass as one organism eats another. So basically the nutrients and the organism, they keep on shifting, right, from one organism to other organism. In a food chain, each organism occupies different trophic level defined by how many energy transfers separate it from the basic input of the chain. फूड वेब कंसिस्ट ऑफ मेनी इंटरकनेक्टेड फूड चेन ओनली. ठीक है, फूड वेब कुछ अलग नहीं है. फूड वेब इज नथिंग बट इट इज कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ डिफरेंट फूड चेन्स ओनली. लाइक फॉर एग्जाम्पल आई विल शो यू. This is a food chain. Like what happens, there is a grass. Okay, grass is being eaten by a grasshopper. ठीक है, ये grasshopper grass को खाएगा. And this mouse is going to eat the grasshopper. And this snake is going to eat the mouse. And this eagle is going to eat the snake. Right, sir? And once it will be dead, it is going to go in the soil and will make the soil fertile, and then again what will happen, the grass will grow. Then again grasshopper will eat the grass. Then mouse is going to eat the grasshopper. Then my eggs will eat the mouse, and then this eagle will eat my eggs, and this eagle will die, and again the whole thing will keep on going. Right? So this is what called as the food chain. It is a linear relation. Can you see? Linear, 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 linear. Right, sir? But there is something else also, and that is called as food web. That is called as food web. Now let's please understand the food web. What happened in the food web? So grass is being eaten by grasshopper. ठीक है, and it is also eaten by rabbit, right? Then grasshopper can be eaten by frog, bird. Frog can be eaten by my eggs. Bird can be eaten by this eggs. Then again, you can understand what I'm trying to say over here. Got it or not? Food chain and food web. Is there any doubt to anybody? Please ask. Set है क्या bro? Cool. Next. Now I need to talk about more about the producers and about the consumers or heterotroph. Very easy to understand. I have a cook at my home. Okay, I live alone, far from my family. So I have a cook. So that cook that comes to my house to cook the food, he is autotroph. He makes the food. And I am consumer or heterotroph. I consume the food made by my cook. Okay, so this is a very basic and simple definition. Producers or autotroph. There are two organic molecules. Please understand. Photoautotrophs such as plants use energy from sunlight. One thing remember in your entire life, do not forget. What is that? Whenever you see photo in any terms, it will be related to sun only. Please remember that. If you see photo is always related to sun. So if you get any doubt anywhere and you see the option related to sun, you mark it. So photoautotrophs such as plants use energy from sunlight to make organic compounds like sugar out of carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. Chemoautotroph. There are chemoautotroph. They use the energy from chemicals to build organic compound out of carbon dioxide or similar molecule. This is called as chemosynthesis. Two things I told you. Photosynthesis happens from sunlight. Chemosynthesis happens from chemical reactions. Okay, guys. Next, consumer or heterotroph get organic molecule by eating other organism. They are of two types. Macro consumers, micro consumers. Macro means feed on plants or animals or both, and micro means decomposers. जो decomposers होते हैं ना, dead उस पे mass पे they remain active, or they can say they consume the dead mass. Now there are two type of food chain. One is the grazing food chain. Grazing means this is the grazing food chain. Leaf, caterpillar, chameleon, you know what, and then mangoes. Right, so it starts from living green plant, goes to grazing herbivores and on to the carnivores. Right, sir? Okay. Ecosystem with such type of food chain are directly dependent on influx of solar radiation. Everything depends on sun only. There will be no sun, there will be no leaf. Most of the ecosystem in nature follow this type of food chain only. But there is something called as detritus food chain. Now what is detritus food chain? It goes from dead organic matter into microorganism and then to organism feeding on detritus and their predators, like this. So dead leaf eaten by woodlouse, and this woodlouse is eaten by blackbird. So here there is no funda of sun, there is no funda of green plants, there is a dead leaf only. These depend chiefly on the influx of organic matter produced in another system, right? Entire thing depends upon only this dead leaf only. In the grazing one, everything depends on the sun. Next, now there are some pyramids, ecological pyramids. So ecological pyramids are basically divided into three parts. They are basically divided by numbers, they are divided by biomass, and they are divided by energy or productivity. Okay guys, so now I'll tell you what is the important part over here. Important part over here is, I hope you know what is pyramid of number, pyramid of biomass. Like this is the example of pyramid of energy. I'll take you directly to pyramid of number only. So this is pyramid of number. As you see, grass is more, and then slightly grasshoppers will be less in population, then rat will less than that, and snake will be less than that, right? So that is your pyramid of number. Let me talk about that here also. It represents the total number of individual of different species at each trophic level. This is one trophic level, this is other trophic level, this is other trophic level, this is other trophic level. This is primary producer trophic level, this will be primary consumer trophic level, this will be secondary consumer, and this will be tertiary consumer, snake. It is very difficult to count all the organism in a pyramid of number, and so the pyramid of number does not completely define the trophic structure of the ecosystem. Very important point for you all, kindly remember this. Tiksha, good morning. Next is pyramid of number. Now there are two possibilities. Guys, there are two possibilities. One is you can have upright or you can have the inverted pyramid also for numbers, right? So like this. Suppose upright pyramid of biomass in a terrestrial ecosystem. Like you have producers, let's say 100 kg, there will be herbivores less than that, then there will be primary carnivores and then top carnivores, right? But the opposite is also true. Opposite you can consider in the aquatic. Aquatic ecosystem is a inverted ecological pyramid of number. Remember that. Like carnivore, then herbivore, then producers, something like this. Got it, everybody? Okay, then pyramid of biomass. Biomass can also be available in, you can say, inverted and also in the case of upright, right? I have actually an energy. Pyramid of energy is the only pyramid which cannot exist inverted. Yes or no? Tell me, is it possible to have inverted energy triangle? Like one organism is having less energy in it, and when the other organism eat it, it will get more energy. And other organism will eat the second one, it will get more energy. Is it possible? Yes or no? Please tell me in the comment box. Energy pyramid is most suitable to compare functional role of trophic level. Energy pyramid represents the amount of energy at each trophic level and loss of energy at each transfer to another trophic level. Like this. So primary producers, let's say they were having 100% energy. On the primary consumer, the energy went to only 10%, and then transfer happened only 1%, and then 0.1%, and then on the apex predator, the energy reached out only and only 0.01% of the initial energy, right? So the opposite is not possible. I have got the entire, you can say, a conclusion for you. So there are three types of pyramids in ecology. One is number, one is biomass, other is energy. Number can be upright and inverted. I have told you about this. Pyramid of biomass can also be upright and inverted. Upright is terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem, and inverted is this marine system. Pyramid of energy, always upright. It cannot be inverted, not at all possible. So this is your inverted, this is your upright pyramid of energy. Right, so this is all about your pyramid of energy, number and biomass, ecology. Now I'll talk about ecological efficiency. So it describes the efficiency with which energy is transferred from one trophic level to next. how efficiently the energy is getting transferred from one trophic level to the other trophic level is called as ecological efficiency. All right. Okay. Next is biomagnification. Now, what is biomagnification? Very easy term to understand. Biomagnification is nothing but it is the increasing concentration of a substance such as toxic chemical in the tissue of organism at successively higher level in the food chain. This is example like this. Suppose there is this fly. ठीक है, ये fly है, like there is some insect which got infected by any bacteria or any fungi, like it is eaten by this bluegill. Now the concentration of this bacteria will be more in the bluegill. Then this bass, it is going to eat the bluegill and it will have more concentration of the toxic, you can say chemical, right? And when the human is going to consume it, then the concentration of this toxic chemical will be even higher. So this is called as biomagnification. Everybody please tell me if this is clear or not. For biomagnification to occur, the pollutant must be long-lived, mobile and fat soluble, biologically active also. Guys, if this much is clear, please send me a heart sign, because we are already done with 30 minutes and I think we have covered a lot. I think in less time only we will be able to cover the entire environment. It won't take much. And also tell me if you are done with this ethics and one more thing, ICT and material science. Ethics class you are also having today. आज भी आपका ethics का class शाम को 10 बजे, रात को 10 बजे, sorry, से part 2 I think. Those who are watching me on CS EE and EC channel, I think you guys are not able to hear me either, or you don't like my face. You are not replying. On Hindi I can say people are giving like replies, love, everything. अच्छा, जानते हैं क्या मेरे को? How many of you know me already? English on this EC, IN, CS, EE. Let's see if I'm famous yet. Civil में तो जानते होगे यार. I went for EXE examination. I'll tell you my experience. I went to EXE examination this year. I just went there to take the questions. I want to just, because we do the analysis, right? So I went there and I went there by just wearing a mask. जानबूझ करके. So I was in mask, but still some people were able to recognize me. Some slightly famous, I think, slightly. I think 2-3 people knows me outside. सर न्यू बैच कब से स्टार्ट हो रहा है ESE के लिए? यार इसका जवाब आपको बायजूस एग्जाम प्रेप की वेबसाइट पे मिल जाएगा. टॉक टू द काउंसलर करके एक ऑप्शन होगा, उनसे पूछ लेना कब होगा. मुझे थोड़ा कम नॉलेज है इसका. अरे भाई, आर यू गाइज हियर और नॉट और स्लेप्ट? EECINCS, come on, quickly tell me guys. Rakesh sir told me that this channel is very active, but I don't see that thing. Why? I'm super impressed with the other channel. They are very, very active, like replying like anything. भाई मैं उल्टा तो नहीं देख रहा? कहीं CS वाले बोल रहे हो और सिविल वाले शांत हो? नहीं, आई एम सही देख रहा हूँ. अच्छा, आगे बढ़ते हैं. ठीक है. Now, what are the impact of biomagnification? So, it causes the oligospermia. Oligospermia क्या होता है? Low sperm count. जो sperm count होता है, it will become low because of this biomagnification. In extreme cases, it causes azoospermia. Azoospermia means semen without sperm, right? Means there will be no productivity, right? There will be no productivity. Next is abnormal menstruation cycle because of this, abnormal and irregular ovulation, and brain abnormalities. These are the things that may happen because of biomagnification. Okay. Then we have bioaccumulation. Now, what is bioaccumulation? Let's understand that. So, it is the gradual accumulation of pollutant, chemicals, chronic poisoning or other substances in an organism. Bioaccumulation occur when the rate of loss of substance from the body of organism is through catabolism or excretion is lower than the rate of accumulation of the substance. You can see here also, guys, like for example, this salmon is eating this krill na. So here what happens, this is the food chain, right? And we start from here. So coal plant, we have the mercury from the mine, right? It will the methyl mercury is going and they are consuming it, the krill, and it is being consumed by salmon. The tuna is like eating this salmon, and the shark is eating this, and eventually the human will eat this. So what is happening is, you can see clearly how the bioaccumulation is taking place, right? But mercury is very, very dangerous, very dangerous. Remember that. There is a disease related to associated with the mercury. Can anyone name the disease? Yes, there will be practice session for BARC. Please answer, guys. Minamata. Okay. Now we have ecological niche. Now what is the ecological niche? Let's try to understand. So it represents the range of condition an organism can tolerate and the resources it utilizes and its functional role in the ecological system. So every organism is having a niche. Okay, niche is a very common term also. It is of a it is a dictionary word only. Niche is a particular specific, you can say, identity. It is a ID card. It is just like a ID card of a organism, right? A habitat may contain many ecological niche and support a variety of species. Each species has a distinct niche and no two species are believed to occupy the exactly same niche. मतलब कोई भी दो species exact same niche अभी तक ऐसे नहीं मिले हैं which are having the exactly same niche. As you can see these birds, how they are, like as per the conditions, their niche is completely different. Like plovers, and then here as you can see, this particular bird, it lives in this area where we have this some sand also, some sea also. This is called as oyster catcher. And then flamingo, as you can see from here to here, how much change has come. This happened because they all have the different niche as per their ecosystem or environment, you can say. Now what is edge effect and ecotone? Now this is very simple to understand. Edge effect is an ecological concept that describes how there is a greater diversity of life in the region where the edge to adjacent ecosystem overlap. Suppose there are two ecosystems and definitely they are going to overlap, right? So in that overlap region is called as ecotone, and that overlap region is more diversified than these two different ecosystems which are getting merged. For example, you can see here also. So here we have land ecosystem and here we have aquatic ecosystem, but in the middle there is a transition ecosystem, and this is called as ecotone. This ecotone will be more diversified. This ecotone will have more diversity in comparison to here and here, land and aquatic. So ecotone is a transition area between two biomass. It is where two communities meet and integrate. For example, grassland, estuary and river banks, right? So between forest desert, between freshwater salt water, and between dry and wet, right? So this is how it defines. What is happening? Guys not interested? I just looked at the people like who are attending. Okay, cool. Okay, next is the sentinel species. Now what is a sentinel species? Let's try to understand what is a sentinel species. So they are organism of an animal used to detect risk to human by providing advance warning of a danger. they serve as indicator of ecosystem health. Like this particular bird called as canaries. इस चिड़िया का नाम है canaries, right? Let's understand about canary. So canary are birds and they die early in the odorless carbon monoxide environment is present. So whenever there is a carbon monoxide in the environment, this bird will die. Carbon monoxide is odorless. There is no possibility that we will be able to understand or we will be able to detect there is a carbon monoxide in the environment. Okay guys, so that is how this bird actually help us. Then there is ecological succession. Let's understand what is ecological succession. So a process of directional change in vegetation on an ecological time scale. So this is what basically we are looking at, the changes on a time scale. Suppose we have two type of succession, primary and secondary succession. This is the example of primary succession. So we had just bare rocks, right? From bare rocks we have actually went to the shade tolerant trees such as oak and hickory. So you can see how the entire succession took place. From a bare rock, there was a pioneer species, then there were intermediate species and the climax community. Climax community means there will be now no change after this particular succession. After this particular community, there will be no changes now. Okay, this is the final role that it can attain. But suppose, see, it happened from zero and it went all up to the, you can say, complete development. But suppose if there is a fire, everything gets destroys like this. Suppose there is a fire and everything gets destroyed, then what will happen? Again the succession will take place. Pioneer species will come, intermediate species will come, and then again climax community will come. And this succession, because it is not starting from zero, it is starting from a hazard, then this succession will be called as the secondary succession. Isko bole koi aap secondary succession. If the difference between primary succession and secondary succession is clear, please send me a heart sign and then I'll move ahead. Everyone, please answer. Okay, cool. Moving on. Invasive species, please understand. So an alien species is a species, or invasive species is a species introduced by humans, either intentionally or accidentally, outside of its natural past or present distribution. However, not all alien species have negative impact, and it is estimated that between 5% to and 20% of all alien species become problematic. It is these species that are termed invasive alien species, or you can say IAS. ये इंडियन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सर्विस नहीं है, ये है आपके इन्वेसिव एलियन स्पीसी. क्या इसका इम्पैक्ट है? सो ड्राइवर ऑफ बायोडाइवर्सिटी लॉस led to changes in the structure and composition of ecosystem, leading to significant detrimental impact on ecosystem services, affecting economies and human well-beings. Now, next are wetlands. Total, how many wetlands do we have in India? Quickly tell me in the comment box. Guys, quickly, please. Everybody. बताइए सर. Come on, Diksha, Vicha, Praveen, Anirban, Pinky, Madhura, Mustafa, everybody who's watching right now, please answer. No, please answer. कितना है? 54, 54, 64. क्या बात है? क्या ही बात है? Come on guys. कितने हैं बताइए? $54, $64. ओके, सर एक बात बताओ मेरे को फटाफट से। सर आप भी गूगल कर रहे हो? हाँ, मैं गूगल ही तो कर रहा हूँ, तभी तो आईआईटी तक पहुंच गया मैं गूगल करके। आधे दिमाग वाली बात मत किया करो यार, समझे? मैं तो पागल हूँ, इतनी बड़ी पीपीटी बना ली लेकिन मैंने ये सर्च नहीं किया कि कितने हैं। बाप रे बाप। आंसर नहीं पता किसी को, भूल जाओ भाई, रहने दो। आपके जितने साल हो गए हैं स्वतंत्रता को उतने ही हैं 75। और 75th कौन सा है? JNK में। 64 नहीं है, 75। रामसर साइट जो है 75। इसको याद रखो, अपना जितने साल आजादी को हुए हैं उतना ही है, ठीक है। अब वेटलैंड देखो, वेटलैंड होता क्या है? वेटलैंड इज अ डिस्टिंक्ट इकोसिस्टम दैट इज फ्लडेड बाय वाटर ईदर परमानेंटली और सीजनली। फ्लडिंग रिजल्ट्स इन ऑक्सीजन फ्री प्रोसेसेस प्रिवेलिंग स्पेशली इन द सॉइल। क्या इंपॉर्टेंस है इसको समझ लेते हैं, व्हाई इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अस। ओके, लेट्स अंडरस्टैंड, राइट। तो यहां पे सर सबसे पहले हम बात करते हैं वेटलैंड्स। दे बेसिकली एक्ट एज नेचर्स किडनी by removing polluting nutrients and sediments from the surface and groundwater. Replenish groundwater supply and their filtering capacity also help to protect the groundwater quality, help in nutrient recycling and stabilization of local climate. मैंने एक शॉर्ट वीडियो भी बनाया था from one of the wetland and I think it is also available on internet. You can check it on YouTube. It provides habitat for wildlife and fisheries, including the threatened habitat. It also provides recreational opportunities for birds, amphibians, and mammals. Also, they act like a sponge and help in flood control by soaking extra water from the surrounding. Right, sir? Apart from that, they make the surrounding fertile for growth of crop. It also provides ample opportunity for fishing and other commercial activity. Act as carbon sink. What is a carbon sink? Any, you can say any site or any components or anything that actually absorb the carbon that we are having in excess, that actually called as carbon sink. So they wetlands act as carbon sink as soil around wetland and store carbon for many years, thus also help in fighting climate change. Provides ample opportunities for tourism and research. Now remember, a carbon sink is any reservoir, natural or otherwise, that accumulates and stores some carbon containing chemical compound for an indefinite period and thereby lowers the concentration of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Globally, the two most important carbon sinks are the vegetation and the ocean. This is in terms of what? This is in terms of volume, that in how much volume they can consume or they can store the carbon dioxide, right? Sir, mangrove and wetland, no, they are completely different. Mangroves are different and wetlands are entirely different. Mangroves, I don't know if you have seen it or not, they, in some photos also they have very huge roots, right? Mangrove is entirely different and wetlands is a different thing. Okay, do not get confused in between these two. Now, need to preserve the wetland. Why? Because provide food for species, flora, fauna, protect, improves the water and air quality, and act as a natural sponge to trap the carbon dioxide. Now we have some convention related to this wetlands, and it is called as the Ramsar Convention. So the convention mission is the conservation and wise use of all wetlands through local and national actions and international cooperations as the contribution towards achieving sustainable development throughout the world. Sustainable development means using the present resources by the present population in such a way that you are not overusing or exhausting the resources for the future generations. It is the only global environment treaty dealing with particular ecosystem and wetlands. Okay, now what are the criteria for status of wetlands of international importance? अब इंडिया में बहुत सारी wetlands हो सकते हैं. Like for example, the one which I showed you in my video, it was a wetland, but it was not of a international importance. So what are the things that make it internationally important? First, site containing representative rare or unique wetland type. Number 2, site of international importance for conserving biological diversity. Criteria based on species and ecological communities. Specific criteria based on water birds. Specific criteria there is based on fish. And if a site supports 1% of population of the species, then it can be considered as the site for a, you can say that, international importance. Then Montreux record. What is this? Please understand. The Montreux record is a register of wetland sites on the list of wetlands of international importance where changes in ecological character have occurred. So wherever, suppose we are having, one is the Ramsar site, but other is the Montreux record. Montreux records keep the records of all those sites where it is being noticed there is some ecological characteristics changes. Okay, likely to occur as result of technological development and pollution, because of pollution or because of human interference, right? And therefore they need of priority conservation attention. It is maintained as a part of a Ramsar list. Okay, Ramsar list ke you can say corresponding we are having this particular Montreux record. So from where I can download the PDF. The PDF will be available to you in a Telegram group called as Civil by Ninja Sir. Civil by Ninja Sir. It's my Telegram group, and you can get the, you can say, PDF from there. Now, two Montreux records site in India. There are two Montreux record sites in India. One is Loktak Lake in Manipur. Due to the deforestation in the catchment area, infestation of water and the pollution, the construction of hydroelectric power plant has caused the local extinction of the several native fish species. So this particular lake is one of the Montreux record site in India. And second is this. Second is the Culardio National Park. The water shortage and unbalanced grazing regime around it, the invasive growth of grass and reducing its suitability for certain water bird species, notably for Siberian cranes. So this is what is causing the changes, right? Montreux record is the principal tool under the, yes sir, correct. Okay, next is carbon footprint. Now what is a carbon footprint? So it is a measure of impact one's activity have on the amount of carbon dioxide produced through the burning of fossil fuel and is expressed as weight of carbon dioxide emission produced in ton. So it is basically nothing but it is a measure of the impact of any particular activity because of which there is a release or production of carbon dioxide, and it is measured in terms of tons. This is called as carbon footprints. So it is measured during the course of year and can be associated with an individual, organization or any product. Okay, that this particular product is having what amount of carbon footprint, or that particular organization is causing how much of the footprint, or that particular individual is causing how much of the footprint. This is how we can define the footprints. India has pledged a 33 to 35% reduction in the emission intensity, or you can say carbon footprint of its economy by 2030 compared to 2005 levels. Okay, so whatever we had in 2005, by 2030 we have actually gave the commitments that we are going to reduce it by 33 to 35% by 2030. Remember this. Second is, major sectors contributing to carbon footprints are energy and agriculture. Like out of the entire carbon footprints, 67% is coming from energy sector and the 14% is coming from the agricultural sector. Now you can see as per the countries we have different type of carbon dioxide emissions in billion metric ton. change since Kyoto Protocol can be seen, and carbon dioxide emission per capita is also given. Data is not important, but you can see China is on top and India is on third. This is one of the things that will be required and important. Okay. Next is climate sensitivity. What is climate sensitivity? Please understand. It is defined as the global temperature rise following a doubling of carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere compared to pre-industrial levels. Pre-industrial carbon dioxide concentration was about 260 ppm. So a doubling of concentration would be roughly at 520 ppm. This is your climate sensitivity. Remember the terms which I am telling you, please remember them or note them down somewhere. Recent carbon dioxide concentration in the atmosphere was found to be 419 ppm. Climate sensitivity has been in the range of 1.5 degrees Celsius to 4.5 degrees Celsius. So how much is the change or how much is the increase in the temperature that is being noticed as is actually considered as the climate sensitivity. It is now moving between 3 to 7 degrees. Earlier it used to be 1.5 to 4.5% degrees Celsius. This is not in Fahrenheit, this is degree Celsius. Then we have carbon sink. Already talked about this, but again I'll tell you. Unlike black and brown carbon that contribute to atmospheric greenhouse gases, green and blue carbon reduce the atmospheric greenhouse gases. You know what is greenhouse? Yes, everybody? इतना तो सब पढ़े हो यार, है ना? Engineers है अपन. I hope you all know what is greenhouse gases. Green carbon is a carbon removed by photosynthesis and stored in the plant and soil of vital ecosystem, is a vital component of global carbon cycle. Which one? The green carbon. That is the reason why we are calling it green, right? Afforestation and reforestation are measures that can be taken to enhance green carbon. Blue carbon refers to coastal, aquatic and marine ecosystems such as tidal marshes, mangroves, seagrasses. Remove carbon from the atmosphere and ocean. All right. Next is carbon credit. Now this is very important. It is having a very high significance in terms of international you can say relations, or international you can say climatic treaties. So let's understand what is carbon credit. A carbon credit is a tradable certificate or permit representing right to emit 1 ton of carbon or carbon dioxide equivalent. Okay, a carbon credit is a tradable certificate or permit representing right to emit 1 ton of carbon or carbon dioxide equivalent. An organization which produces 1 ton less of carbon dioxide than the standard level of carbon emission earns a carbon credit. तो कोई भी ऐसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो स्टैंडर्ड लेवल से 1 टन कम कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड प्रोड्यूस करे या एमिट करे, it can earn a carbon credit. One thing. The second thing is, recently the global carbon credit trading was about $5 billion, with India's contribution at around $1 billion. Okay, out of $5 billion, Indian contribution was $1 billion in this carbon credit. China is currently the largest seller of carbon credit, controlling about 70% of the market share. Multi-Commodity Exchange of India MCX launched future trading in carbon credit in 2009. There's a future trading also that is taking place, and it is taking place under the Multi-Commodity Exchange of India MCX, and it has started from 2009 only. Then we have the next thing related to carbon, and that is carbon offsetting. In today's class or in future also, I am not going to cover all those things like greenhouse gases, global warming. I think these are very basic topic and everybody knows this, right? And they are the topics which actually usually left behind because of those topics. So is it fine with everybody or not? Please tell me right now. These topics are good because these topics are having higher chances to be asked in the examination instead of a global warming or any other thing. Okay, basics you all know. Still I'll tell you few things in case you need. समझ आ रहा है अभी तक? Everyone is cool, enjoyed. 1 hour is already done. I did not even realize. Next is carbon offsetting. So carbon offset are credit for reduction in greenhouse gas emission made at another location. Okay, this is for another location. Carbon offset are quantified and sold in metric ton of carbon dioxide equivalent. Simple. अब मेरे पास कुछ वाइल्ड लाइफ एक्ट्स हैं, वाइल्ड लाइफ प्रोटेक्शन एक्ट्स. Obviously only going to talk about India, right? That is what important for us today. भाई लाइक नहीं कर रहे हो आप लोग. Keep liking the session also ना. I just saw the likes. Okay, so let's talk about some Wildlife Protection Act. So Wildlife Protection Act was enacted in 1972, which provides legal framework for conservation and protection of wildlife in India. So the first thing I want to talk about is Project Tiger or Panthera tigris, you can say. Now let's talk about what actually happened here. So Project Tiger was launched in 1973. In 2022, we have 52 tiger reserves. Manas National Park of Assam has been declared as UNESCO World Heritage Site is 1985. India has nearly 70% of the world's tiger population. तो दुनिया में जितने भी टाइगर हैं, out of those 70% is in India only. One is standing in front of you. According to the fourth cycle of All India Tiger Estimation 2018, the count of the tiger was risen to 2,967. Okay, so this is the Project Lion. Earlier it was Tiger. So Project Lion, what we have, let's understand. So it aims to increase the number of Asiatic lions in Gujarat's Gir forest from 523 in 2015 to 674 in 2020. You can see from here how the rise is increasing, and this is happening under the Project Lion only. 1990 we were having how much? 284, right sir? These are the number. And then as the time passed, it got increased, right? Now it is in 2020 it was 674. अभी थोड़ा देखेंगे 2025 में. 2025 again we will have a count, and then we'll see how much we are having now. Okay, there are some key points also. Population of lion is this, of this 309 female, 2006 male. This is not important. 36% increase in distribution area of lion. 36 lions had died due to outbreak. Counting exercise, ठीक है, ये ज़्यादा important नहीं है. Next is the Project Elephant. Let's understand about the Project Elephant. So Government of India launched the Project Elephant in 1922. Its aim is to assist a state having free ranging population of wild elephants. An elephant corridor is a stretch or a narrow strip of forested land that connects larger habitat with elephant population and forms a conduit for animal movement between the habitat. So this is one thing that has been carried out under the Project Elephant. Okay, there are 88 identified elephant corridor in India. How much? 88, right? So Project Elephant PE is a scheme protect elephant and their habitat and corridors, provide welfare of domesticated elephant, address issue of man elephant conflict, because sometimes what happen that in the villages the elephant sometimes enters, right? And there what happens, there is a man and elephant conflict which occurs, right? So that also being taken care under this Project Elephant. Conduct research and training and monitoring of elephant population, that is also being happened in the under the Project Elephant. Then we have Project Vulture that is being carried out in India. So Project Vulture, guys, the population of vulture declined drastically due to the drug, this diclofenac. This is the one which is causing the vulture declination, the population. Because of this one thing, there is a particular community that is being, you can say, getting trouble, and it is Parsi community. Do you know why? Everyone, I think the Parsi community is getting very much trouble because of the declination in the population of vulture. You can search on Google that why it happens. Initially, it was thought that this drastic decline is due to non-availability of food or unknown viral epidemic. Vulture were unable to break down the chemical, this diclofenac, suffer from kidney failure when they eat dead remain of animal which have been administered with the drug diclofenac. तो अगर किसी animal ने ये drug consume किया है and that particular animal is consumed by, the dead animal is consumed by vulture, then what will happen? This is going to be shifted to them. Can you quickly tell me what type of issue is this? I think today I have told you. What type of transfer is this from one trophic level to other trophic level? This is example of what? Come on guys, quickly tell me. बताओ, आज ही तो पढ़ाया है, इस कॉन्सेप्ट का नाम क्या है? हाँ बेटा, बायोमैग्निफिकेशन. बायोमैग्निफिकेशन टुडे ओनली वी हैव सीन. प्रवीण, नॉट कॉम्पिटिशन क्यों बोलेंगे ना, बायोमैग्निफिकेशन. ओके. Then meloxicam. Meloxicam is a second generation NSAID and or you can say NSAID and rated better than diclofenac, which can be used as an alternative. अब इसको change किया गया है भाई. This diclofenac is being replaced by NSAID. Diclofenac free zone meant the complete removal of diclofenac in the identified vulture safe zone, that is place where vulture colonies have been identified. तो ऐसी colonies, ऐसा areas, ऐसा region wherever there is a vulture zone or vulture communities are living, there the government is making the zones as diclofenac free zones. Project One Horn Rhino. ठीक है सर, गेट 44 आ रहे हैं, क्या करूँगा समझ नहीं आ रहा है, प्लीज़ कुछ आइडिया दीजिए. ठीक है, मेरे को एक बार प्लीज़ रिमाइंड मी वंस. I'll talk to you after this session only, right? Or you can reach out to me through Civil by Ninja Sir Telegram group, or you can search me on Telegram group and please let me know how I can help you. All right, Pratyush. Project One Horn Rhino. Indian rhino is known as the great one-horned rhino, which is mostly found in Assam, that is Kaziranga National Park. India Rhino Vision 2020 was launched in 2005 with the main objective to increase the population of rhino to 3,000 in 2020. Rhino are now found in 4 protected areas in Assam, that is Pabitura Wildlife Reserve, Rajiv Gandhi Orang National Reserve, Kaziranga and Manas National Park. Right. Then we have the Ghadial project or the crocodile. कहाँ गया वो? पूछ रहा था जो crocodile. The crocodile वाले भाई आ गया आपका वाला. So Ghadial project. Let's understand what happens in Ghadial project. So Ghadial are the most you can say aquatic of all crocodilians inhabiting deep areas of fast flowing river, and due to weak legs they are unable to move very easily on land. So they are the one which generally prefer to be in water because they have weak legs. This species can found in India subcontinent and in such countries as Bangladesh and Nepal. So the population of these animals has significantly declined since 1930 due to various reasons such as river population, pollution, dam construction, fishing operation, illegal sand mining and poaching. Sand mining in particular is the main cause of these crocodiles' habitat loss, as well as conversion to agriculture and depletion of fish resources also cause the depletion in their population. So this is the Ghadial project. Then we have Great Indian Bustard. So Indian bustard is found in short grass desert plain of Rajasthan and Gujarat. This bird is in the critically endangered list of IUCN, which is International Union of Conservation of Nature. I am going to have a separate discussion on IUCN as well, due to its small and declining population. This Indian bustard, right? Total population of bustard in India may not be more than 500 now. Then we have Project Hangul. It is Kashmiri stag. Okay, so let's talk about this. Hangul or Kashmiri stag is a critically endangered species found in Dachigam National Park, Srinagar, and few in South Kashmir. Exercise was conducted by Department of Wildlife Protection, Jammu and Kashmir, that is DWLP, in collaboration of the Wildlife Institute of India. The Kashmir stag is the state animal of Jammu and Kashmir and is the only surviving species of red deer in India. Right? Which one? This Kashmiri stag or Hangul, you can say. Then we have another project for conservation of animals under the Wildlife Protection Act, and that is Project Snow Leopard. They are found in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and Arunachal. Project Snow Leopard was launched in 2009 with its aim being conservation of species and their habitat. Then we have Ganges or Ganga dolphin. As you can see, this is the Ganges dolphin. So Ministry of Environment and Forest notified the Ganges River dolphin as the national aquatic animal of India. Important. River water pollution, accidental trapping in fishing net, and poaching of their oil pose threat to the Ganges dolphin. National Mission for Clean Ganga (NMCG) has initiated dolphin conservation program in 2016 to ensure long-term survival of dolphin and other river fauna. Then we have Project Manipur Thamin. I have for every state I have something. Project Manipur Thamin. So I don't know if I'm pronunciating it right or not. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm pronunciating it wrong. So Thamin deer is found in southeastern part of Loktak Lake of Manipur. Can you please tell me where we have already studied this Loktak Lake? Everyone comment box में लिख दीजिए हमने इसी सेशन में कहां पर एक बार और इसके बारे में बात करी है लोकताक लेक. Actually, we talked about this in Montreux Record. This is the area which is facing the change in characteristics, ecological characteristics, and you can see why. That is the reason why we also have the Project Manipur Thamin. Alright, next, Project Manipur Thamin was launched to increase the population of this deer. Okay, then we have South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network, that is called as SAWAN. ये वो वाला नहीं है जिसमें आग लग गई थी, ये दूसरा है. SAWAN is a regional network comprising of 8 countries, namely Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. It aims at working as a strong regional intergovernmental body for combating wildlife crime by attempting common goals. India formally joined the South Asia Wildlife Enforcement Network (SAWAN) in 2016 in order to strengthen ties with member countries in controlling the transboundary wildlife crime. Recently, some animals were brought to India from Namibia. Can anyone tell me which animal was them? किस animal को लाया गया बाहर से इंडिया में? Not important ज़्यादा, but still I'm asking. Quickly tell me. चीता. Good. ठीक है. Next is now we'll talk about air pollution. So increase in concentration of air pollutant which affect the life in biosphere will be considered as air pollution. Biosphere we already know comprise of atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere. Right. Now I'll talk about some of the layers like troposphere, stratosphere, then we have mesosphere, thermosphere and exosphere. Can you tell me in which layer aeroplanes generally fly? एरोप्लेन जो होते हैं वो किधर फ्लाई करते हैं, कुछ बताओ. ट्रोपो, स्ट्रैटो, मेसो, थर्मो या एक्सो. देयर इज सम inversions also that take place, temperature inversions. Everybody quickly answer. Aeroplane generally. Good. नामीबिया. हाँ, मैंने नाम भी बोल दिया था. बिल्कुल सही बात है. स्ट्रैटोस्फेयर क्लाउड फॉर्मेशन यहाँ पे मिनिमम है, ऑलमोस्ट नेग्लिजिबल है, दैट इज वाई. Okay, now primary air pollutants. So they are directly emitted or released either from the natural source like volcanic eruption, dust storms, or human activity such as burning of fossil fuel and vehicle. Okay, so vehicle से हो जाए या कहीं से भी हो जाए. So these are some examples: carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitro oxide, like all these things are the examples as you can see. SOx, NOx, COX, इस तरह से you can remember them. Then we have secondary air pollutant. So primary pollutant combine with each other or with water vapor in presence of sunlight to form more harmful air pollutant. Examples are ozone, formaldehyde, PAN, that is peroxyacetyl nitrate. Right, this is how the reaction take place. Not important. Then important thing is air quality index. Now we need to understand, we have all I think came across with this AQI from last 2-3 years. Yes or no? As the level has been increased so much. I'll tell you the AQI. Can you all write down the AQI of your city right now you are living in? I'll tell you what is the AQI of my city where I am right now. Quickly everyone, please tell me what is the value of air quality index of the city you are in right now, you are at right now. मैं तो नेट ही नहीं चल रहा. बताइए. और शहर का नाम भी प्लीज मेंशन करिएगा. प्लीज मेंशन द नेम ऑल्सो ऑफ द सिटी. So right now I am in Noida and this is the AQI that we are having right now in Noida. As you can see, it is around 285, right, and it is poor. And the primary pollutants that we are having is PM 2.5 in Noida. Okay, unhealthy ना, हम तो poor में भाई, हमसे पूछो. So, air quality index was created to help communicate the severity of air quality level for multiple pollutants to the public, the risk they carry, and recommend defensive measure through a single composite index, a color code, and a broad category of air quality level, good, moderate, poor, etc. is also being told. इकबाल 78 AQI है आप क्या? कहाँ हो आप भाई? मैं आ रहा हूँ आपके पास. Ashwin Lal is Trivandrum. Oh my god, I need to shift. To determine the air quality in area, pollutant concentration and physically measured. The AQI is calculated based on the average concentration of particular pollutant measured over a standard time interval, generally 24 hours for most pollutant, 8 hours for carbon monoxide and ozone. ठीक है, ये थोड़ा सा important है. Generally it is 24 hours, but for carbon monoxide and ozone it is 8 hours. Okay. Okay. Next, Ranchi is the 76 superb यार. दीक्षा is saying मथुरा. अच्छा मथुरा, अरे तो हमारे आगरा वाली बात हो गई. आई एम फ्रॉम आगरा गाइस. इन इंडिया AQI calculation includes the 8 pollutant. What are those? These are PM10, PM2.5, nitrogen dioxide, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, ground level ozone, ammonia and lead. These are the 8 pollutants that are being considered. Jammu is 35.2. Amazing यार, amazing. क्या बात है, खतरनाक ही चल रहा है. एक हमारा है, पुअर में चल रहे हैं हम तो. Okay, next is the final AQI is equal to the highest of AQI values calculated separately for each pollutant. The corresponding pollutant is also reported. For example, समझ लो एक बार. If individual pollutant index for PM 2.5 is 90, nitrogen dioxide is 45, ozone is 65, then the AQI will be 90. समझ आ गया? They are going to take the concentration of all the pollutant and जिसका भी सबसे ज़्यादा हुआ वही AQI हो जाएगा, and that will be called as primary pollutant. I'll show you the example also. Just now also I shown you. I don't know. Can you see this screen of mine, the phone screen? If you can notice they have written the primary pollutant also. Primary pollutant लिखा हुआ है क्या है? PM 2.5. PM 2.5 particles are small enough to enter the bloodstream and typically results from wildfire, smokestacks, bacteria or small dust particles. ये भी उन्होंने बताया हुआ है कि प्राइमरी कौन सा है. So this 285 is the concentration of what? PM 2.5. Remember this. बाकी pollutant भी हैं, other pollutants are also there, but it is highest. Moving on. Okay, so these are some levels as you can see over here guys, as per the different type of AQI levels that we are having. राइट, देख सकते हो ये आपके पास रहेगा PDF. ठीक है, अनहेल्दी है, हजार्डस है, हेल्दी है, व्हाटएवर. दीज आर द हेल्थ रिकमेंडेशंस एंड दीज आर द PM 2.5. Now we have suspended particulate matter, that is SPM. So it is categorized as PM 2.5 and PM10. Solid particles like dust, smoke, fumes. Liquid particles like mist and fog. Smog is basically the combination of smoke and fog released during dust storms, burning of garbage and fossil fuels. Then we have oxide of sulfur, or you can say sulfur dioxide is one of the most important pollutant, primary pollutant. It is a colorless gas formed when sulfur combined with oxygen. Released during combustion of oil and coal in power stations and automobiles and other chemical plants. Next are oxide of carbon, that is carbon dioxide, or so carbon dioxide formed due to burning coal, petrol and diesel. It is a greenhouse gas causing greenhouse effect, global warming and climate change. Carbon monoxide, now understand about this. Colorless, carbon monoxide is colorless, odorless and tasteless. Can you quickly tell me what is the name of the sentinel species that tell us about this? In this session only I have talked about. इसी सेशन में मैंने बात करी है. What is the name of that sentinel species that side? Because it is colorless, it is odorless, it is tasteless. बताइए सर, प्लीज टेल मी. इन टुडेज सेशन ओनली वी हैव डिस्कस दिस. Come on guys, just now in today's class only we have discussed. आज ही बताया, आज ही याद नहीं है, आगे मैं क्या एक्सपेक्ट करूं. ये बताया नहीं था मैंने, कैनरी. So canary is the bird that die early in odorless carbon monoxide. याद रखिएगा प्लीज. By the way, did you like the presentation? I hope it is informative and also presentable. It took me too long to make this. It released due to incomplete combustion of coal and oil. Carbon monoxide has high affinity for hemoglobin, 200 times greater than that of oxygen, right? It can replace the oxygen in your hemoglobin. Good, Shivraj. Next is what? Carbon monoxide plus hemoglobin will make carboxy hemoglobin, which reduces oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, affects the nervous system, headache, dizziness, asphyxia, nausea, difficulty in breathing, right? Because the oxygen level falls down. It replaces the oxygen. Next, oxides of nitrogen, or initially this nitrogen oxide is formed, and then nitrogen dioxide is also being formed, emitted from high temperature combustion such as inclination plants and automobile and thermal power plants. Oxide of nitrogen have affinity for hemoglobin 3 lakh time more than that of oxygen. मतलब उससे भी खतरनाक है ये कार्बन मोनोऑक्साइड से भी. Oxide of nitrogen cause eye and nasal irritation, and obviously because it has high affinity to hemoglobin, then it will also cause the respiratory disorder and then swelling in bloods. Hydrocarbon, evaporated from petroleum fuel or emitted from automobile exhaust, they tend to wash out with rain and find their way to surface water, forming a thin scum like layer on top. Ozone, there are two types of ozone. One is tropospheric ozone. Tropospheric ozone is man-made secondary pollutant in lower atmosphere. It is component of photochemical smog. This is called as bad ozone. Next is stratospheric ozone, essential component that screens the harmful UV rays of sun, which causes skin cancer, affect eyes and nervous system. Chlorofluorocarbon can destroy this particular ozone. So you can see there are two types of ozone. On a tropospheric level, this is called as bad ozone. On stratospheric level, it is called as good ozone, right? Things I think I have already told you. This is some additional information that you can study from the particular slide or presentation. Now, measurement of air pollutant. Particulate matter will be measured by high volume air sampler. Sulfur dioxide with Westgate method. Hydrocarbon with gas chromatography. NOx with Jacob Okesser method, and carbon monoxide with non-dispensive infrared NDIR analyzer. Now I have different conventions for you all for different purposes. Are you ready, guys? Then I'll begin. It's already 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I'm really enjoying this because I don't know, energy environment, I have some kind of interest automatically. Don't know why, because it is related to us only. Like every time we are talking about us only, right? Everything, whatever we have discussed today is related to us, directly or indirectly. If you are enjoying, can you just send me a heart sign? That's just, you can say, a source of energy for me. And after this, I'll also talk about different treaties. Okay, I'm beginning. First is the Basel Convention. The Basel Convention on the control of transboundary movement of hazardous waste and their disposal. It was adopted in 1989, not important, with the objective of protecting human health and environment against the adverse effect of hazardous waste. Objective क्या था इसका, थोड़ा और डेप्थ में पढ़ेंगे. The convention covers hazardous waste that are explosive, that are flammable, that are poisonous, that are infectious, that are corrosive, toxic or ecotoxic. With respect to environmentally sound management of hazardous waste, the convention aims towards restricting transboundary movement of hazardous waste except where it is perceived to be in accordance with the principle of ESM. So wherever that particular waste is perceived, there it can exist, but it cannot be transferred. We cannot have a transboundary movement of the waste, hazardous waste. What about India and this convention? How we are related to this? So India ratified means signed it or collaborated with. So India ratified the Basel Convention in 1992. India has been taking measure for the effective management of hazardous waste and thereby meeting the obligation of Basel Convention. The Hazardous and Other Waste Management and Transboundary Movement Rules 2016 was notified to ensure the safe handling, processing, treatment, storage, collection, transportation and disposal of hazardous waste. Then we have the Rotterdam Convention. Let's talk about the Rotterdam and how it is important for us. Okay. Let's talk about the Rotterdam and understand how it is important for us. Just a second. Okay. Moving on. So Rotterdam Convention on Rotterdam Convention on the prior informed consent procedure for certain hazardous chemical and pesticide in international trade is a multilateral agreement. The agreement provides obligation on import and export of certain hazardous chemicals. The convention objective is to promote shared responsibility and cooperative efforts towards what? Among the parties in the international trade of these chemicals. Why? So that we can protect the human health and environment and also contribute the environmentally sound use of the chemicals. It comes under the Rotterdam Convention. Then we have Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, also called as POP. It is a global treaty to protect human health and environment from chemicals that remain intact in the environment for long period. That is why it is called as persistent. इसीलिए इसको persistent बोला जा रहा है. Become widely distributed geographically means they have long range transport capabilities also. Accumulate in the fatty tissues of human and wildlife means they will be by having a bioaccumulation. This I hope everybody knows this. We have discussed this in the class only. After biomagnification, we discussed the bioaccumulation. Have harmful impact on human health or on the environment. The convention was adopted in 2001 and entered into force in 2004. India ratified the convention in 2006. Then we have Union Cabinet of India also approved the ratification of 7 organic pollutant. Okay, this is the Cabinet of India. We have Union Cabinet. So Union Cabinet recently approved the ratification of 7 chemicals that are listed under Stockholm Convention on the persistent organic pollutant, and these are here. You can see chlordicon, and then hexabromiphenyl ether, then heptabromidiphenyl ether. Then we have tetrabromodiphenyl ether and pentabromadiphenyl ether. Then pentachlorobenzene, hexabromocyclododecane and hexachlorobutadiene. स्पेलिंग ना पूछ लें बस, बाकी सब ठीक है एग्जाम में, नहीं तो फंस जाएंगे अपन. मतलब मैं अपना भी बोल रहा हूँ, मैं भी फंस जाऊंगा. Then we have Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety to the UNCBD. So it is an international treaty governing the movement of living modified organisms resulting from modern biotechnology from one country to another that may have adverse effect on the biological diversity, taking also into account risk to human health. The convention does not apply to the pharmaceutical for human that are addresses by other international agreement or organization. It only deals with what? It only deals with the living modified organisms. Then we have very important treaty, that is Antarctic Treaty. Understand this. So the Antarctic Treaty was framed with the objective that Antarctica shall continue to be zone that shall be used for peaceful purpose only and shall not become object of international discord. The treaty covers the areas south of 60 degree south latitude and is known as the Antarctic Treaty Area, ATA, and imbibe the suspension of territorial claim, prohibition of all military activities in region, freedom of scientific inquiry, and international cooperation in scientific activity. India signed into Antarctic Treaty 1983 as the consultative party member. Remember, in Antarctic, basically what we are having is we don't want anyone to take the claim of the surface or the area, but the Antarctic can be utilized purely and completely for the scientific purposes, research purposes. No military use should be there under this treaty. Freedom of scientific investigation, free exchange of scientific plans and data. मतलब कोई भी एक जानकारी किसी एक देश को मिलती है, then that information should be transferred to all other countries. Any territorial claim put on hold. A nuclear free zone, it is completely nuclear free zone. Applies to the land but not sea. All station open to inspection by other nation. National law applied to citizen, not to area. The treaty may be modified at any time, require unanimous agreement of treaty nation. All treaty nation to ensure no one carries out act against the treaty. So this is what Antarctic Treaty looks like. Next is IUCN. I told you we'll talk about this also. IUCN is a membership union imposed of both government and civil society organization. IUCN is the global authority on status of natural world and measure needed to safeguard it. It is headquarter is in Switzerland, not important. अभी IUCN करता क्या है? It actually releases a red list. Now what is a red list? IUCN red list is a rich compendium of information on threat, ecological requirement, and habitat of species on conservation action that can be taken to reduce or prevent extinctions. It is based on objective system for assessing the risk of extinction of species based on past, present and projected threat. Right? So function क्या है इसका समझ लेते हैं. What is the function of the red list? It tells us where we ought to be concerned and where the urgent need are to do something to prevent the despoliation of this world. It is used to inform decision taken by multilateral environmental agreement. IUCN Red List assessment of freshwater species have also contributed to the work of Ramsar Convention in selecting the sites that are important for freshwater biodiversity. It has been adopted by United Nations as one of the indicator for 2015 Millennium Development Goals 7 on environment sustainability. Now, when IUCN Red List says threatened, then what does that mean actually? So, critically endangered, vulnerable species are considered to be threatened with global extinction. What does each category means? Understand. Extinct or extinction in wild, critically endangered and vulnerable species threatened with global extinction. Near threatened, basically species close to threatened threshold or that would be threatened without ongoing conservation measure. Least concern are species evaluated with a low risk of extinction. Data deficient means no assessment because of insufficient data. If you have no data regarding to their, you can say information related to their extinction or past data, present data or maybe projected data, then we can consider them all the species under the category of data deficient. Then we have United Nations Environment Program, UNEP. It is the leading global environmental authority that set global environmental agenda, promote the coherent implementation of environmental dimension of sustainable development within the United Nations system and serve as the authoritative advocate for global environment. So global से related, environment से related जो भी चीजें होंगी, सारे के सारे नियम कानून कायदे सब कुछ you are going to be taken care by UNEP only. Okay, sir. Now, UNEP Adaptation Gap Report 2020, it finds that while nations have advanced in planning, huge gap remain in finance for developing country and bringing adaptation project to stage where they bring real protection against climate impacts such as drought, flood, sea level rises. The report finds that despite a brief dip in carbon dioxide emission caused by COVID-19 pandemic, the world is still heading for the temperature rise in excess of 3 degree this century, far beyond the Paris Agreement goals of limiting global warming to well below 2 degree and pursuing 1.5 degree. However, a low carbon pandemic recovery could cut 25% of greenhouse emission expected by 2030 based on policies in place before COVID-19. Sir, I have written GATE. Can I apply for hydraulic engineering in IIT for MTech? I don't think so. They actually have some minimum education qualification in which they will ask you for, I think, civil. So that is the reason. Then we have TEEB, that is the Economic and Ecosystem Biodiversity. It is a global initiative focused on making nature's value visible. Its principal objective is to mainstream the value of biodiversity and ecosystem services decision making at all level. मतलब लोगों को ये याद दिलाना, ये बताना that ecosystem, what are the benefit of it, what are the, you can say, things it is already giving us, it need to be bring down in a light, and that is being done by the economics of ecosystem and biodiversity. Then we have the Worldwide Fund for Nature, WWF. It is an international non-governmental organization founded in 1961. WWF is the world's largest conservation organization with over 5 million supporters worldwide, working in more than 100 countries and supporting 3,000 conservation and environmental projects.